Hey everybody, welcome to the Green Room. We are on DisrupTV. I'm here with my amazing co-host, Vala Afshar, author of multiple books, and of course, you know him from Salesforce, and our amazing producer, Elle. I'm only calling her Elle because I can't get used to pronouncing her last name, but we'll get there. Elle De La Rosa. But of course, it's not about us. It's about our great guests, and we're going to introduce them in reverse order. And we'll start with Dr. Ja-Naé. Dr. Ja-Naé, where are you coming in from? What are we talking about?
Well, coming in from Boston, Massachusetts, and today we're going to be talking about SuperShifts and how really we need to start to prepare for the next 200 years of humanity.
Very, very good question. Steve, where are you coming in from? What are we talking about? You're tag teaming
from Boston. Yeah, talking about basically creating the future, not just letting it happen, but also what she said. So
you know what? I am really looking forward to this because that first chapter on the letter to the children of AI is freaking awesome. That in itself should have been a book, but we'll get there later. So, all right. Well, with that, we'll wait for our third guest, Diego. He'll pop in, and when he does, we'll catch him in the second half of the show. So, with that, turn it back to you, Elle. You can do the honors.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us on DisrupTV. My name is Vala Afshar. I'm the Chief Evangelist at Salesforce and your co-host for the next hour. Please follow us on X at DisrupTV Show. Send Ray, myself, and our distinguished guest your questions live, and we'll do our best to answer them. It's my pleasure to introduce my co-host, Ray Wang. He's the CEO, founder of Constellation Research. He's the best-selling author of Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I see him on TV just about every other day. He's on Bloomberg, CNBC studios. I see him making a trip to New York for all those great segments. And Bloomberg and others. He's probably the top futurist to follow on X, in my humble opinion, at RWANG0. Welcome, Ray Wang, to DisrupTV.
Hey, thanks a lot. And of course, my co-host doesn't need an intro. He is world famous. He's the chief digital evangelist of Salesforce, but he's also the author of multiple books, including Boundless and A New Mindset for Unlimited Business Success, and a #1 seller on Amazon. I carry it with me everywhere I go. Now, if you haven't seen him, and of course, executives around the world have, they're paying attention to every one of his inspirational, insightful tweets. And when he's not hosting, keynoting, or leading events at Salesforce, you can find him speaking on business TV outlets such as Bloomberg and posting insightful analyses on ZDNet, and of course, catching him live at Dreamforce this year, 2025. So, but with that, I've got an amazing host, but it's not about us. It's about our great guests. And of course, who do we have to kick it off today?
I like that plug for Dreamforce. We have, as you know, our audience knows, we bring the best and brightest authors that we can find to come and share their wisdom on our show, and there's no exception. Today's guest. Allow me to introduce two co-authors. Dr. Ja-Naé Duane, leading behavioral scientist, Brown faculty and MIT research fellow, and co-author of a new book that just came out end of April, SuperShifts, Transforming How We Live, Learn, and Work in the Age of Intelligence. Dr. Ja-Naé is a 4-time entrepreneur whose work has been recognized by top-tier press and news outlets, and a top-ranked speaker in the Singularity University community, and author of a best-selling book, The Startup Equation. So we get multiple authors to come on the show, including her co-author, Steve Fisher, world-renowned futurist, entrepreneur, podcaster, and co-author of SuperShifts. Steve is the chief futurist at the Center for the Future, CFTF, a worldwide collective of thinkers, makers, pioneers, who collaborate and explore and share knowledge, insight, and tools with organizations. The CFTF operates under the Revolution Institute, a collaborative think tank and platform working to drive exponential impact and create a better future for all. Steve runs the institute with Dr. Duane and is an incredible incredible group of interdisciplinary experts. Welcome, Dr. Duane and Steve to DisrupTV.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
We're excited to have you. And I think the intro to the book is something everyone should spend some time reading, that letter to the children on the age of AI. You start the conversation on the concept of making sure that we still have intellectual curiosity. Kids still have wonder. And it makes me wonder, what about mission and purpose of humanity in that future? So why did you start with the letter? And what was, I mean, I think you could have written a whole book on this letter, but you kept it very short. So genesis behind that and why that was important to you.
Yeah, the letter came from, well, we dedicated the book to our son Max, and we're married. This is our second book. As we were talking about in the green room, always get to know you learn a lot about your spouse when you write a book together. Well, we're in great collaborators, but the first book we did was before Max was born, and this book, especially, he's 8 years old, and it makes me think about his high school class will be in 2035. What is that? It's kind of started us thinking, like, what does the world of 2035 look like for an 18-year-old, right? With these kids that are growing up in this generation that know nothing of even, it's just not even devices, but they'll grow up in this age of intelligence. And the other thing we thought was important is that no matter how much you hear about the hype of AI and all the things it can do, it's all data. It's all pulling data. You're asking it. So having the curiosity, having empathy are the key factors in what we create and the opportunities that these kids will be able to have. And we just wanted to let them know, almost like a kind of a college graduation speech, was despite all these things you might hear of, no jobs or other things, that there is more opportunity than ever. And you can even be alive during the whole thing, during this next 200 years, which is mind blowing. We'll get into some of the shifts, like generational drift, like what the impacts of that are. But that was where it came from. I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Ja-Naé. But
Yeah, I would just say this: as we're thinking about the future, it's not about us, right? It's about how do we help support that next generation and not just pass the buck. And as long as we can be intentional about that and be intentional about the systems that we create now for them, then we have an opportunity to co-create. And so that, and co-creating with our son, is something that we love to do. So that was very much a key part of that inspiration for this book and that letter.
That's awesome. It's nice to be in a home with a digital native. I'm a digital immigrant, so I wasn't born mobile, social, data, AI, all of that. And now I think about how many hours a day we tap glass to get access to data and information. And, next year is the first year that the graduates from college and university would have had 4 years of generative AI experience. First time ever that they went through the entire college experience with Gen AI. So I can't even imagine an 8-year-old today, high school and college, the technology so let's talk about these shifts that you anticipate, and take us on a very audacious 200-year journey. Tell us what some of the shifts we all should be aware of.
Steve, do you want to start? You want me to start?
I mean, I can start. I mean, why don't I give the list? You want to give some the quick ones? Let me start with the first 4: generational drift, telefusion, texeleration, reality remix, the power flow. We can get, and Ja-Naé will kind of come up to the back end. I think the important ones too, that it's like power flow, which is like energy, and eco awakening with our planet, and social quake and the world mosaic. And finally, something about you're interested in is bio-nexus. So we try and cover that. But Ja-Naé, you want to kind of dive in with the what they are a little bit?
Yeah, so let's talk about what super shifts are before we dive into specific
Sure.
ones. So a super shift is it's different than a mega trend, which is a question that we get often. A mega trend might be, Gen AI is definitely something that we would consider a mega trend, or even generational changes in the workforce. However, a super shift is a tectonic change. Really imagine, the shifting of tectonic plates that are changing not only how we work, not only how we live, but really the future of humanity and what that looks like. So within that umbrella, we have these 9 shifts that we have identified that are changing what we're calling the next 200 years as the age of intelligence. And I'll give you my favorite one, and then I'll pass it over to Steve to give you his favorite one. But my favorite one, because of my research within VR and AR, is reality remix. And this is really where we are seeing the lines between what we perceive as real and what we perceive as imaginary as starting to blur. And what's really great is that you can start to see where we're headed with this when it comes to things like holographic technology, being able to have a digital twin of a building and interact with that digital twin within the building. Say you have coworkers on the other side of the world. You can also see this as people are taking on new identities within games like Fortnite. We're seeing that. Yeah, you can be a zebra with a purple mohawk and take on a completely different personality, almost try it on for size, because you're trying to explore a piece of who you are that you might not feel comfortable exploring in what we'll call right now as the real world. And so what does that look like over the next 10 years, over the next 20 years? How are we really going to explore our own personal identities, as well as explore what we perceive as real? Steve, what about you? What's your favorite?
Yeah.
And before
I'm
you
going to
name a favorite, Steve, just so our audience can better understand super shifts, can you name 1 or 2 super shifts of the last 10, 20, 30 years? Maybe in my mind, I thought maybe 1993 when the CERN launched the web and gave birth to the most valuable companies on earth today. That may have been a start of a super shift. I want to make sure I understand it. And then how often do super shifts occur? Can you expect at least 1 super shift every 10 years? Or is there some sort of cadence historically looking and projecting forward when we can expect super shifts to occur?
Yeah, I can speak to that. I mean, I also want to emphasize to people that that it's not a tech is part of this, but there's a lot beyond this. And there were 2 super shifts that really kind of happened there. I mean, I have a list of them, but let's just speak to 2 of them. One was, we call it the cloud explosion, because I think that when I think back to the .com era, right there, for those that don't remember it, didn't live through it, everything was on server rooms, everything was there. When Salesforce came out, people had they were freaking out. They're like, my first company was Appsolve, and we were an application service provider, so we were looking at Siebel and all these systems, and it was in data centers, and you'd kind of have these remote access things. And the concept of, I'm going to give you my customer data and it's going to live in a cloud.
Insane.
It was
insane.
You're going to steal my stuff. And people were very paranoid. And it took a while to kind of slowly migrate people to that. But the foundational aspects of cloud, like I said, it's a cloud explosion. It's like, you think of like a big cumulonimbus thing of a storm cloud, but it was like this massive where the clouds kind of pop up. But it really transformed and redefined communication, all the SaaS applications, work, everything. So that's one. Yeah. And then I would say we call it the renewable energy scale. So the scaling of solar, wind, battery technology, it started to really drop in cost. It was kind of the beginnings of power flow. It really kind of beyond the climate action and that acceleration, but it really started to give us the opportunity, because before, the efficiencies of solar, I studied solar and architecture in like the 90s, and the cost of solar, the efficiency of it just didn't make sense. So that kind of thing has laid the groundwork for like, it's moved into this more eco awakening, which is one of my favorites. And when we look at, so I hope we can get into the concept of the age of intelligence, because one of the grounding things of the book is a social theory we've come up with called ages and eras. And if for those who look at large pieces of history, which I do, it's called macro history. I was like, I remember looking at the, like, this is the thing. Like I have like, this is what I do.
Well, Harry Seldon invented psychohistory. So.
Oh yeah, he said psychohistory. So when you think of like large macro history, you're looking at thousands of years. Toynbee, Spengler, all these social theorists, right? I'm not going to have a social theory class, but it allowed us to look at every 200 years. There's this large change, and you could look at a lot of things coincide with other types of cycles. And we looked at 450-year eras, and where we're beginning, we call the quantum era. So like the last 50 years, if you think about it, the last 50 years, we went from tubes to integrated circuits to microprocessors to now we're about to hit quantum. And these things have been catalysts in how we process information, how we use new technologies, how we find discovery, discovery of new, pharmaceuticals, medical cures and things. But my favorites, I'm gonna cheat Ja-Naé. So like I have 3, but like she's like, why are you doing that, man? So generational drift is probably my favorite one. I really love in telefusion because we talk about the mind merging, the kind of the machine and mind. We talk about, you see this with like brain computing interfaces, but we actually talk about subspecies. And if you have time, we can get into that. Like humans like we kind of wall ourselves off in tribes on social media. Imagine doing that if you're all bionic people or you're all brain connected, right? And I think the big one is like eco awakening. I think we're going to solve a lot of planetary challenges: water, clean water. I think it's going to replace exploitation of the resources, and I think that's going to be give us a planet first mindset, and that links back to the letter, right? These kids, this is the planet we're leaving them. Like we have to put in place a planet first mindset, because as our son quoted in there, it's like if we hurt the planet, we hurt ourselves. So I think that was my my cheat code in that, but all 9 of them just give us, there is something in there for everybody. Wherever you work, what kind of thing you do, what you're interested in, they all affect us in different ways, right?
It's amazing to think that I think last time I read 600 million still do not have access to clean, safe drinking water.
Right.
Right. I thought it was like 2 billion, but that's, yes, exactly.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. The number is staggering, whether it's hundreds of millions or billions, and north of 3 billion do not have access to internet. Of the 8 billion, I think, we crossed the halfway mark, I think a couple of years ago. We celebrated that with Tim Berners-Lee and Vint Cerf.
Oh yeah, we did. We had a great interview.
Yeah, the 50% mark a couple of years ago. It's SuperShifts, and yet there's so many of humanity still not able to access, whether it's the internet or safe water. In your book, you talk about the future isn't something that happens to you; it's something we create. Can you help us better understand and inspire us, and remind us that we're still in the driver's seat?
Yeah, remind us that we are in the driver's seat. I think that's important because I can't show who's running the simulation. Are we in charge? Are we not in charge? Is this centralized scarcity or decentralized abundance? I can't tell. I feel like I'm being tricked here.
I love that. Centralized scarcity, decentralized abundance. Yeah, Ja-Naé, you want to take that one? Maybe I can.
Yeah, we might have a debate, Ray, as to whether or not we are in charge and what that looks like. But I will say that very much when we treat the future like it's weather, like it's something that we need to brace for, when really in reality, we're shaping it. We're shaping it with our decisions. We're shaping it with our policies, with what we design. And to give you an example, how we regulate AI can and will determine whether or not we remain in the trenches of inequality, or if we open up more opportunity to people as more people get access to the internet, as more people get access to AI and Gen AI specifically in this example. So when we're thinking about shaping that future, it starts with today. It starts with the conversations that we have. It starts with the decisions that we make inside of our organizations. It starts with the conversations that we have with our peers. So many people are focused on just reacting instead of critically thinking through the opportunities they have in their day-to-day to create a future that they really want, whether or not it's our investments, it's the algorithms that we design, the tech that we design, how we utilize the renewable energy within our towns and within our states. There's just many ways in which we can really move from just adopting to creating.
No, it's a great point, right? And we see so many shifts, right, as well. We are about to enter the world's biggest white-collar recession. Software companies that exist today are between two S-curves, trying to get out of the transactional world and into the world of AI. We're seeing this is the last generation of humans to manage only humans. I mean, these are big trends that are out there. How do we keep up with the pace of change? Do we just say, I give up, we're not going to deal with this anymore? Or like, what are some tool sets that we need to actually deal with this and thrive in this changing world?
Steve, you want to take that one?
I mean, you've got a good handle on the system side. I think you should address that first, and I can come up with some of the foresight pieces, the foresight tools.
Yeah. So what I would say to folks is really, there's no way in which you're going to keep up. Let's just be.
We're just going to be falling behind all the time, Vala. This is horrible. Where's my brain control interface? Neuralink me now.
Well, right, exactly.
I like that dose of reality. I think most people are underestimating what we're experiencing. So, as someone who's been in tech in 30 years, and most of the time in R&D labs, what I see in R&D labs today is unlike anything I've ever experienced. And the scale, the speed, the intelligence is mind-numbing. So if you're not in tech and you're not building products, you have no idea what's happening. And so I like the truth. Just keeping up is going to be an incredible challenge. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I thank you for those examples, because that's absolutely correct. So for folks, what I would say first is really double down on things that we seem to forget. We seem to forget how to critically think through problems. We seem to move away from creativity, right? Like there was a recent MIT study. Again, it was a smaller study, and more work needs to be done around the use of GPT and how you've had less cognitive function in writing using that than if you did it with a group. However, what pieces did you really need GPT for? And are you utilizing AI as a tool and in a way that really makes sense for where you are today? And I think that's a big thing that I would love folks to understand is right now, these are tools that we can utilize to create something that's even beyond our imagination. It can help us expand upon our imagination, but we actually need to double down on these skills if we're going to get there, instead of just trying to control the thing that's in the box, as we like to say. The other thing I would really point to is, and like you hit this on the head, we highlight this in a telefusion, one of our SuperShifts, that we will very much have a blend of AI and humans with machine. And what does that augmentation eventually look like? Well, you right now can start to explore how you feel about that augmentation if it occurs. Like we're seeing this with amputees right now, which has been phenomenal for folks who are now for the first time being able to feel when they pick something up. So these are going to be really personal questions, but never assume that we're going to be able to control or be able to stay ahead of the game, because this is about symbiosis at this point.
Wow.
I love the fact you're using the word augmentation. I prefer that to artificial, to be honest with you. And the use cases I see in terms of AI is cognitive transfer, where the work is now transferred to intelligent software and models, and then cognitive upgrades, where people are actually augmenting their capabilities and using software to improve the product and improve themselves. But that balance has to be there, because I hate to admit this publicly, but I'm going to do it anyway. I don't know why, because I know you have a few 100,000 that watch this, so I don't know. I realized that I only know my mobile number. I don't know anyone's mobile number. I don't know my wife's. I don't know my children's. I don't know anyone's mobile number, and I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, because I really feel really, really bad about that. I also don't know street names. When I need to go to a place, I speak to the app. It tells me left and right. I speak to a nice voice. And so I've lost the interest in understanding the interconnectivity of Boston and the cities. And, you know, I don't know. I don't care anymore. I just listen to where I have to go and I go. So phone numbers, street addresses. And I used to be ashamed about being a bad speller. I couldn't spell really well. And I used to blame that I'm an immigrant refugee, but that's not the case. I just really didn't read enough to be able to write well and spell. But over time, I didn't care, because it autocorrect. So when it comes to phone, when it comes to direction, when it comes to writing, I just kind of let go, and I just trusted the tools to help me get along. And now supercharge that to software development, any white collar, like as Ray said, with white collar recession as he's forecasting. I don't think there's a skill that's immune to this cognitive upgrade capability and transfer. So anyway, I just feel like that you need to have that deliberate mindset, whether you're an 8-year-old or you're our age. I'm not going to say Ray has great hair, so people assume he's younger than he really is. No, I'm kidding. So your thoughts about this, you know, convenience always wins, and us kind of giving up on.
Or are we going to get dumber? Are we going to get dumber, or will we still be able to catch up?
We already are dumber. Steve and I disagree on this.
I disagree. I think the things.
Or do we achieve super intelligence?
Are we going to sit? Implying that I'm dumber. I'm just saying I'm.
Am I
that matter to me?
Am I going to do my taxes with an abacus? No. Right.
No.
It's like it's a question of the tool set and what opens you up. Let me give you a few examples. So let me go back to the tools, and then we can kind of come forward. So
I think we have a debate coming here.
Yeah, Val, so I'm the same as you. I've been in tech for 35 years. I've been building products for about 25, and I've been through 5. I would call them tech evolutions. You know, networks, internet, commercial internet, networks, commercial internet, e-commerce, social media, generative, and AI, right? Those are kind of the 5 kind of big ones over the last period.
And you won't
during those first 4,
you kind of exclude you can do all your business on a mobile device now, or is that just combination?
Well, to me, it's a device of the. It's more of the business models and the change of the function and the things. To your point, you're right. Yeah, it's a function of device. That's a different layer. But let me I don't want to lose my thought on this.
And we've got about a minute left, so keep going.
Geez, you gotta get me.
Go, please.
Okay, but I was just gonna say that those first 4, we kind of saw the change. We could kind of like, okay, I'm gonna retool myself. I'm gonna readjust. And you're right. This large recession, we feel it viscerally. So as Ray, you're a fellow futurist, right? What do futurists don't do? We don't predict the future, which is why I like psychohistory. I love the series, but it kind of annoys me. You know, when you look at Spectrum, so Spectrum is our kind of core futures method, and we look at it differently than kind of the world isn't 2x2s anymore. As much as I work for McKinsey and we love our 2x2s. So the aspect of multiple, we have to be able to anticipate the change. There's possible futures. And I think those tool sets, you know, that are in that, and just generally, you know, futures and foresight work allows you to see things coming and be able to not only just that the future will become the present, but then you're able to adjust proactively to it. And I think that's where we have to get better. So that's my,
Proactive
as we
adjustment.
espouse into 30 seconds left.
Who came up with
we
the
have
title?
the
Who came up
optimism.
with the title? Who came
All right.
up
Oh,
with
we both did. The title was actually supposed to be Transform based on the holistic model we have in the book, but the Wiley said, no, we need a new title, and it was based on our collective work over the past 10 years of
Awesome.
looking at these shifts that we realized, wait a minute, there's something much bigger here, and that ended up being the catalyst
Well
for
done.
Yeah,
Well
and
done.
What do you
they
get when
it's
you have a
catchy.
behavioral scientist with a futurist? You get SuperShifts. Dr. Ja-Naé
Exactly.
Duane, leading book behavioral scientist, and of course, one of the top futurists in the world, Steve Fisher. Steve Fisher, we got them together here, and of course, catch the book. It came out April 20th.
Congrats.
SuperShifts, transforming how we live, learn, and work in the age of AI and intelligence, and of course, where we're headed next. So, thanks for being on the show. We'll catch you later.
thanks for having us.
Congrats
Thank
on
you.
the book. That's awesome. No, I agree. It's hard to advise children given today's super shifts. And you and I know, father of 3 and 2. I was much more confident in the past, recommending, get into software, get into this, although software I think is still very cool. Okay. We are delighted to have Thiago da Costa, CEO of Datagrid, joining us. Thiago is a technology entrepreneur specializing in physics simulation, cloud computing, and AI. He founded Lagoa, which developed cloud-based mechanical CAD products later acquired by Autodesk and integrated into Fusion 360. While at Autodesk, Thiago led major cloud data and AI initiatives across construction, manufacturing, and media entertainment divisions. Thiago holds multiple patents in collaborative high-frequency data systems and actively invests in startups and late-stage private companies, some you may have heard of, like SpaceX and others. Welcome, Thiago, to DisrupTV.
Thanks for having me. This is a great conversation. It was awesome to hear the thoughts around all of this. I also have 2 kids, 2 small kids, so we're all wondering what's going to happen, right?
How old are they? How old are your children?
7 and 10.
Oh, enjoy the year. That is still cool when they're 7 and 10. That's
great ages. Well, Thiago, what's the boldest long-term bet you're making on your organization's future with AI, and why? And the question is a little bit more than just the bet. It's the context and the assumptions you're making. Why is that bet that you're making? Because you have infinite choice, and yet you have limited choice. So.
Yeah, I think what's happening right now, and with AI is just really fascinating. I think we covered a little bit of how the world has transformed with the internet, how it has transformed with cloud. I think what we're going to see with AI is just quite different. So my take on this is we have always built software to improve process, and software is a way to improve what a human does. And you could do it in paper, but maybe you do it in Excel, so you do a little faster. But AI is really shifting that. So you're not necessarily making a human faster. You're actually humanizing the whole stack and basically saying now you don't need the human in the loop anymore for certain tasks. So I think that's quite scary. That's kind of what I think is going to go, especially with software development. There's a plateauing on software hires. I think I would have recommended people to study computer science several years ago. Now I can't say that's a thing anymore. I think there's a lot of software development that's going to be done by AI, software creation itself. And it's going to be a very different world, I think. So I think the nature of work is going to change fundamentally with AI in all aspects.
Is that what led you to founding of Datagrid? Tell us a little bit about the company and what motivated you to go in this direction.
Yeah, so I started this business thinking about this shift. So at first I read the paper from OpenAI, the paper that came out in 2017, and then the Google paper on transformers. And it was very obvious that in the end, this was going to shift everything, and we're just in the very beginning of it. So I wanted to build something in AI, and then I started with data first. And again, data is just foundation for everything that has to do with AI and where we are going in the world right now. But if you put it in perspective, this is like day one. So this is like having pets.com or you know, before Amazon was founded, right? Like that's like that same moment in time of the internet. I think that's where we are with AI right now. We don't have AI that can actually complete a lot of tasks yet. You know, if you try to get ChatGPT to complete a travel booking, you're still gonna stumble, you know, a number of times. It may actually put you on the worst seat in the plane, or it may actually book the wrong destination, right? So you still need a human there to do that task. And if you look at all the tasks that we have to do as humans every day, a lot of them we don't necessarily want to do. Like I don't necessarily want to, you know, do my taxes like naturally, right? Like I don't have the intuition that I need to go grab all these documents and collect them. So I started Datagrid to be at the forefront of agentic AI, which is AI that actually executes entire tasks. And we focused on the built world, the built environment. So, you know, we all live in buildings, and, you know, we have companies, entire sectors of the economy responsible for building the world. And we, it was very clear that that was a very distressed part of the information chain, where you have a lot of people that have to deal with a lot of documents. So if you're building a building today, a high rise, you may actually have hundreds of thousands of documents. And then people have to keep all of that in their heads, right? And be able to define where to put things, when to place things, what they need to buy, the meetings they have, and the decisions they make. It's very difficult if you look at a stack of drawings for putting a building up. And we all need buildings. We all need to have places to live, and hospitals. And so it's an interesting place to apply AI to, and also comes with my experience in manufacturing and then construction.
So you went to a very complex, document intensive, mission critical, because you have schedules and you have commitments, you know, right for removing friction and removing silos, and being able to, you know, I think it was Albert Einstein who said nothing happens until something moves. Moving all that insights you need across all the different stakeholders that are responsible for building a hospital or a bank or a high rise. That's an enormous opportunity to add value. So
you can tell Vala was an engineer. He sees,
no, I'm just thinking about it, you know.
He sees all the pieces and all the components in a holistic way, right? I mean, this is the shift that we have to have out there. And actually, I was going to add the point that, you know, all the AI shifts, right? Classical AI 2 + 2 = 4. Generative AI 2 + 2 might equal 4 with you know, model shift, little rag. It might be 98% of the way there. Agentic AI 2 + 2 = 4. What do you want to do without it? Give me decision and decision automation. Like in that journey, as you're going through this, when you think about like what can organizations do to get started? Because most organizations don't have data strategy. Most organizations have ignored the fact that their transactional systems have taken over most of their budget. Most of these organizations are really trying to figure out like where they can get some value. And every organization is trying to figure out how to cut costs and improve revenue cycle. Is there a magic fix?
That's a great question. I mean, a magic fix, there isn't probably one, but I think it's fascinating. I was on a call a couple of weeks ago, and this customer told me like, no, we're putting pause on AI because we're moving our ERP system. We're adopting a new ERP system, so we put pause on AI adoption. And I was just wondering, like, so the new engine, the engine that just came on board, you're gonna wait to bolt that new engine in this old machine, and then hoping that AI
keep the old engine and just stick the agentic on top. Like, why would you bother to make it even harder for yourselves?
Right on.
Look, if you were to build a brand new app today, right, and you're in the middle of this, right? If you were to build a brand new app today, you'd have the database and and basically you put an agentic AI framework on top, right? The transactional layer at this point is of minimal value. We've got companies that are basically 100-person companies that are going to take out legacy software companies. You've got 1,000-person firms that are going to take out billion-dollar services companies. There could be the first billion-dollar ARR company with a single individual.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're just putting an ERP system in, and you're like, what the heck? Like, what are you doing?
So, yeah, you keep hearing those stories. I mean, people are
trying tiny teams.xyz. It's all there. It's ridiculous, right? These companies are on fire. But my point to you is like, you're in the middle of helping people see that cultural shift. Like, how do you make it last? Because this is a big cultural shift. And sorry, Val, I jumped in on your questions. So.
Yeah, an incredibly smart CEO. Let's get as much wisdom from him as we can.
Let's share. Yeah, I think it's interesting what's happening right now because people don't actually know what they should and should not do. There's the whole decision of like, do I build some AI in-house? Do I bolt on AI in my existing solution? You can see companies like Salesforce bolting on AI inside of their tools. And in the reality is like the entire UI, the entire experience, software experience, UX, all of these things were built for somebody with a mouse, and then somebody with a screen. And then if you think about those things are just like very low frequency and very sort of low bandwidth interfaces to a computer. And we have a really good interface here. We can communicate a lot of things through this conversation. Like there's a lot of information we can share in a very short amount of time, and we can interrupt each other and we can keep going. And there's a lot of stuff that can happen in a human level conversation. Now imagine that software became like that and is an entirely new thing. So we haven't even seen that yet. We are only seeing the beginning, and a lot of companies are trying to bolt on AI into their existing products, which I think is a mistake. I think they should re-envision their business and products. There has never been an easier time to build software, to build solutions than now. Like imagine 10 years ago, building any kind of technology was a lot harder. I mean, 10 years ago, we actually only had, S3 and EC2, and we had a couple of cloud solutions. And like maybe 15 years ago, you didn't even have those things. You had to actually hold the storage yourself, in some kind of data center.
AWS has deprecated more services than people have created. I mean, it's like,
and that's the other thing. Is just if you look at the cloud as a proxy to what's going to happen with AI, you had S3, and then on top of S3 you had Dropbox, and on top of that you had DocuSign. So it's a workflow with a document with the storage. So like you're stacking up these solutions, and if you put AI into context, AI is kind of like that. AI is kind of the storage layer. So there's going to be billion-dollar companies built on top of base model, foundational models, and all these other things by just figuring out workflows. But the interface is going to be very different. The whole experience is going to be very different. I keep thinking about the Figma IPO. I'm like, that was a great run for design. But like now, I mean, that tool is actually not a great tool to design agentic experiences. Like, it's not a great tool to design a voice interface. You're not designing UI in the same way anymore. Like you're designing text streaming interfaces. You're designing even text. Like you have to think about voice. How does a designer think about a voice interface to their application? You can't even prototype these things. It's hard to even think about where you begin. So our entire tool stack and the tools we use and the things we invented to build software, they are all deprecated practically. And even like opening, Cursor is a great example of like how to jump on a trend. And growing to 500 million ARR very quickly, that company, it's amazing to see. But I also think like, I go to Slack to tell my developers or my product managers what I would like to do. And then probably I should just be telling an AI what I would like to see in my product. And
Cursor, Vue.js are going to be antiquated in like 6 months. I mean, this is what you're saying. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I hope they will. And they'll figure out, these are all smart guys, right? And they'll all figure out their ways in their businesses, and they'll do really well. But I think it's just such the early stages of all of this that we have to really be thinking like living in the future here for a little moment, right? Like the people that built the world is like a core part of my clients. The physical world can't be done by AI. You cannot really put a wall up with AI. AI can tell you where the wall goes, but you cannot really put the wall there until, we figure out robotics, right? So what is really the human value? Like, are we going to all just like work and like do physical labor? Probably not. We have to figure out the robotics, but in some way you have to think about like what is unique about being human going forward. If intelligence isn't the unique thing anymore, then what is it, right? Like, I think interpersonal skills is unique. I think spending time with your clients. I think, coming up with original ideas. I think AI is actually quite bad at original ideas. I dislike completely the AI music, for example. When people show me like some AI songs they made, I'm like, well, I can see it's an AI song. It's thanks for sharing. Like, it's interesting, but like artistic endeavor is something that only humans are very apt. Like, I'm not going to necessarily think that AI is going to replace actors on a film set when they're acting. So I think there's a lot of things that we got really that was, the value has dropped because we placed our bets elsewhere as in the economical side of things. That now is going to shift back to, the value of being human again.
Give advice to CEOs that are watching the show. You got this convergence of uncertainty with all the super shifts and the velocity, the speed and direction of technology. We're talking about big companies struggling, small companies winning, vice versa. All the forecasts there. But what's the most difficult thing you have to deal with as a CEO? Developing leaders, shaping the culture, convincing your clientele that Datagrid is on the forefront of building products and services that matter. What's the hardest job of a CEO, and how do you overcome these challenges in this what sounds like turbulent times? Although if you're in tech, it seems like we're all doing okay.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about this moment in time for building companies is that there has never been a moment where it's all about the decisions you make. There's never been a moment in time like this, because maybe several years ago you could have just outworked somebody else, right? So if you put that in context, like what does outworking somebody else means? Like Elon Musk likes to talk about this all the time. If you work more hours than somebody else, you may actually just be able to deliver more value. Now imagine that work is kind of free. Like you don't pay for the amount of code that gets put down. You don't necessarily have to spend any money on coming up with a new idea, because those are free too.
So let me just so I'm hearing it correctly. Are you saying that the culture of effort and experience is no longer coveted? Like experience, you could be augmented with AI, and you don't need 10 years of experience to produce something beautiful. And effort, the amount of work and energy to push something forward is now much less costly because compute memory and access to greatest tools. So did I hear that correctly? Culture of effort and experience is not necessarily what's going to get you to success.
Yeah. So yeah, and then getting to to that point, like what is the most difficult thing? I think there's incredible demand for AI solutions. So we're seeing just super fast growth, lots of demand, lots of customers, and we're hiring like crazy. And then it gets to that point where who do you hire?
Yes.
Okay.
Who do you hire? That is for me the hardest thing right now, is to figure out who are going to be the winners and the right people to have and build a team in an environment where you can put as much work down as you want in software. You can put as much.
I think the number one job of a CEO is to recruit the best talent, because your company is only as good as the company you keep. So give breaking news for anybody interviewing at Datagrid on Monday next week. What are you looking for? What are you looking for?
Thiago's going to be like, what the hell's going on here?
What is candidates prepare for is it high rate learning? Is it judgment? They need to be self-aware. Is it the soft skills, hard skills? What are you looking for? One or two things.
Thiago, you're going to be laughing. It's like, hey, all these people are watching DisrupTV more than I thought.
Well, yeah, I mean that's gonna be interesting if people come back with this as an input. But I'll tell you, if you want to win over an interview at Datagrid, we are hiring several roles right now. But leadership is not something AI can have now. You cannot really display leadership skills. You cannot say, be a leader for my team, and then this thing so you need humans to be leaders, right? And what does it mean to be a leader? It means to know where to go, know where to run, know what's the right moment to stop and take a break, understand all these things and deliver, right? And figure out ways to efficiently deliver and be that inspiring person that others want to work with. And then the second thing is figuring out how to use AI. If you haven't been using AI and you're applying for a job right now, not only at Datagrid, but I'm just going to say it this way. If you haven't actually picked up AI in your spare time in the last year and a half and really been heads down trying to figure this out, and you don't put that on your CV, it's just going to look really bad for applying to an AI company, in general. So that's a huge thing. I still see a tremendous amount of people applying, and they come in with no AI experience, no AI, anything they have done, no examples of how they would be applying AI to that task or job. And that's a fruit of also having a day job. Many people just have a job to do that just doesn't allow them to use AI, but it reflects on you if you didn't stop and go deep on AI. And I think the third thing is you just figure out how you can communicate really well, because we can use AI to generate text, but having like a real conversation with another human is just going to be a human thing for a long time. So having those skills is going to be very important in the future, I think. And I think, Mark Zuckerberg and, those guys are going in with like these huge offers, trying to hire people and put in 100 million offers together. I think that there's no way to outcompete any of that stuff. So you have to come in, work at a company because you want to work at a company and you are exceptional at something you're trying to do, and you can really help and be valuable.
Well, it's great to hear you're hiring, and thanks for adding to society, not just with great products and services, but giving talented individuals opportunity to grow their careers.
Yeah, and really, big question for you is really like that shift as you see, like you're taking the ENR business, right, construction business out pretty hard. Like what is the profile of a CEO that's ready for change? I'm not even thinking about industries. I can't even do it by industry. So if you're getting industry concentration, that's awesome. But there's a certain DNA inside a company where you see it and this company's ready to go. Because all the other ones, you can bang your head and come in and sell at these companies and nothing is going to happen. You'll be POC'd to death. I mean.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think the companies that are adopting AI are the ones where the CEOs are most involved with like the operation of the company and running the company and really care about their customers. I think, the era of managing off of a spreadsheet and whatnot, like being more of an entrepreneurial CEO has like indicated that you're more ready to adopt. There's so many companies that bought our solution, and then like you see the CEO signing up to use it. And then you have a conversation with like how they were using ChatGPT and like what they were trying to do with ChatGPT that it couldn't be done. So those are like the drivers or the people that just quickly adopted the solution already and already trying to figure out how to use it for their companies. Folks that are managing, their boards and managing their relationships and managing the Wall Street, those are going to take a little bit longer to actually see the value of AI because they're going to think it's just another technology, another tool. And then it's going to come from, bottoms up, right? Like, for example, CEOs didn't necessarily use Slack. So it had to be completely bottoms up, right? Completely bottoms up. Like the people that actually needed Slack, they were actually working every day in the office and like talking to a lot of people and trying to communicate with customers. CEOs were having meetings and doing other things that were live and then didn't require them to be typing a bunch inside of Slack. So it took a much more like a bottoms up movement to adopt something like Slack or Teams than AI is doing now, where like you immediately see it, the value for yourself as a CEO, and you just top down it. It's just like you need to get
boards and CEOs are coming top down. We're here with Thiago da Costa, CEO of Datagrid. Thank you so much for being on the show. We love your insights. Congratulations. You funded the company 10 months ago and announced it, I believe. So congratulations. It's a huge accomplishment. Thanks for being on the show. It's like we had Eric on our show once. We're like, who's Eric at Zoom? Like, what's going on? And they'll be like, boom. We're like, this is Thiago, guys. Like, he kicked ass.
That's right. I remember that. What a great hour of just not only reflecting on what we've experienced in our lifetime as in our careers, postgraduate school, post university, the cloud revolution, the mobile revolution, the social revolution, certainly the data and advanced analytics, and now the AI revolution. And then there are so many more super shifts ahead of us. And it's great to hear CEO with enthusiasm talking about technology and how it can best serve customers. Ray, your thoughts on episode 407 and our guests.
I think we're at this point, and I think the phrase we'll be hearing a lot is we're caught between two S curves. Existing companies have to figure out to make the shift. They've maximized their operations for scale and profits, just at a point where they need to actually focus on investment and innovation. The challengers are focusing on investment and innovation, but do not have to do it at the same cost structure as the legacy companies. And this is the equivalent of when the telcos got crushed by the internet, and then subsequently all the companies that came after that. We're going to see something like that. And the super shifts are a little bit more than that. They talk about all the right side, left side, right brain, left brain capabilities that you're going to need to be able to get there. That's a lot more comprehensive than that. what Thiago is saying on his end is a little bit different. What he's got is really he's building to the future, and he's one of those AI exponential companies that are actually starting out. And we actually think these AI exponential companies are significant because these are the companies that are going to rule the world. Part of the characteristics is they're AI natives. They're using a ton of digital labor. They build agentic ecosystems, and they're basically going to do 10x, 100x returns and build businesses on data. But to add to that, Vala, I mean, here's the problem. Legacy companies are thinking in the wrong scale. What is with intelligence doubling every 7 months? This is a very different game than before, and those cycles are moving, which means these super shifts that are happening faster than before. And we're also last generation of managers that only manage humans, regardless of industries. It's going to change who's managing who and what will happen. And this is why build is now cheaper than buying, which is creating this interesting challenge where pricing by AI outcomes, not by number of people, is going to be the new model. So we're starting to see the shifts move in that direction. Our clients are saying those same things, Vala, and the conversations have gotten even more interesting. And I'm sure, you know, when all executive sessions that you do with clients as well, I mean, there's a buzz going on, and it's like the expectations have never been higher.
It's a 10-year conversation. This is going to be dominating our keynotes, our boardroom advisory sessions, our restructuring, reinvestments, realignment. And as soon as you recognize that the only path to nonlinear optionality is through digital labor, it'll become the #1 priority on every line of business owner. And conversations seem to validate that. But trust has to be behind the underpinning behind it, because you could be going really fast towards a cliff, and you have potential brand reputation if you're not investing not just in the right technology, but the right people and ecosystem and infrastructure to ensure that you're not drifting away from your brand promise. So yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. It's exciting. It's a great time to be in tech. And if you really want to earn trusted advisor, there's no better time. This is the time where people are looking to you to help validate some of their experiments and their theories. And I got to tell you, experts of yesterday are not the experts of tomorrow. So it requires critical thinking. It requires digging deep. It requires suiting up and getting in the game. Don't delegate your thinking to someone else. Well, this is too precious of a time for you to do that.
Use that for your summer reading before Labor Day. I mean, it's really important. I mean, Thiago's right. I mean, a lot of this stuff can't happen by itself. There's still a lot of human engagement that's required. And I think companies that think they can fully automate and run everything in AI will understand when and where to insert a human. That's going to be one of the toughest decisions they make.
It will be. And it'll be evolving because what you consider productive, good work today may be considered wasteful activity a year or two from now, because the worst AI you're using is the AI you use today. So, and it's so fast that, you know, what you thought this is not something that's a candidate for cognitive transfer, in 6 months, in a year, in 2, it may be a perfect candidate. So over time, we're going to find some of the work that we assign to our human labor will be considered wasteful. Remember, there's 300 Waymos in San Francisco, and they surpassed Lyft in terms of number of rides. Waymo, I think, is valued at 200 million right now, billion. It could be close to 800 billion by the end of the decade. Who would have thought driving a car would be considered wasteful? Well, Amazon, Google, Tesla, all these companies consider driving a car as wasteful activity. And you wouldn't have thought that 15 years ago. So anyway, we'll see that in business as well, in the enterprise as well. Next week,
ooh, look at that lineup. Woo, look at this lineup.
Yeah. Fong Li, President, CEO of Strategy, will be joining us.
He is the creator of Bitcoin Treasury.
Creator of Bitcoin Treasury.
He's the man behind the Bitcoin Treasury movement.
Yes. If we were going to lunch, it would be on Fong. Catherine Purley, founder of Demystify AI and author of AI Made Simple, Results Made Real, an executive's guide to partnering with the future. And Helen Kahn, founder and principal consultant of Fire Up Innovation, consulting and author of Fire Up Innovation, sparking and sustaining innovation teams.
Yeah, Helene's a firecracker. That'll be awesome.
Look at Ray's got his seatbelt buckled, his popcorn ready for next week's show. If it's Friday, it's Disrupt TV. Thank you for watching. Thank you for recommending authors and guests. We'll see you next Friday. Bye, everyone.
Happy Friday.